When you think back on your memories, oftentimes you're going to see it as like a movie. You want to have that soft cinematic look. And that's really how I shoot all the stuff on my phone, is I want it to be nostalgic and kind of like a timeless classic right out the gate. This might not be your style, and that's okay. But me personally, that's just how I like my stuff to look whenever I look back on videos. Anytime I go somewhere, I think about, oh, how can I make this look like a movie? So let's talk about some of the things that I keep in mind when I'm shooting things on my iPhone. One of the things that helps me stay ready is my action button is set to the video camera. And I'll tell you a little more about my settings here in a second. The key thing to note is that I shoot in ProRes, which if you're unfamiliar with what ProRes is, it's a flat color profile so that I can color grade in post, aka editing. For action button shooting, I shoot in 4K 30 just because it's quick, it's easy. This is if I just want to get the shot fast. One of my biggest complaints with the iPhone was always you could never control shutter speed. But that's what the Blackmagic app is for. For my more advanced users, you'll prefer the Blackmagic app, which I will link down below. I love this thing because I can control my shutter speed, ISO, white balance, tint, all these exposure settings, aperture, I can control it all. And this is when I'll shoot in 4K 24 because that's when I can truly achieve the most cinematic look possible. There's 5 essential shots that I like to stick with, and I'll walk you through each one using some of the clips that I took in New York City. The first one is the wide shot, which can be known as the establishing shot. This draws your viewer into a scene and gives them a chance to immerse themselves in a setting. A prime example of this could be the city skyline. So you can see it's establishing the scene, establishing the mood. And you also saw in the very beginning there, that's the shots that I used. I'd say 95% of the videos I even shoot start with some type of establishing shot because that sets the scene and sets the vibe for the viewer. The second shot that I use, that portrait shot of me standing there on the ridge on the Jersey side, that's what we call a medium shot. Medium shots to me are like a happy balance between that close-up and that wide shot, where it's to the point that the scene isn't overpowering the subject, but also the subject isn't overpowering the scene. There's a nice balance there. But for those moments that we want to focus more on the subject, that's when we have the close-up shot. It's good for telling the viewer, hey, look at this thing, you don't want to miss this. It's a pretty intense shot if we're being honest, because you're essentially forcing the viewer to look at a particular thing. But sometimes what you're shooting is all in the details, so having that close-up shot can be pretty cool. Like the shot that I took from the Jersey side, looking into Times Square. Did you peep that in the beginning? How I had the shot from the other side of the Hudson, then all of a sudden I put a clip where you're in Times Square? Some other kinds of shots that you might want to consider are the push and pull shots. Push-in shots are where the camera moves towards a subject in a scene, and then you can probably assume what a pull shot is, you pull away from a subject in a scene. These are really nice for adding some life to a scene and adding some variety. Push-in shots are nice because you're physically moving the viewer closer to the subject. You know, you got to think about the viewer because the camera essentially is the viewer's perspective, so you have to remember what you want to show them. So if you move towards a specific dish, or you move towards a menu or move towards something, you're drawing them into a certain thing. And a pull shot could be nice because you could be focused on the actual food itself, but then you pull away and maybe you show the environment that the food is in. Maybe you show the cool decor that's in the restaurant. Maybe you show the cool ambiance that's going in the background. But Dante, this is just food shots. It can't be that serious. It is indeed that serious and that deep. Dante, you mentioned 5 shots. What's the final one? The POV shot. And I'm not talking like the POV, you're here. No, we're talking like the literal point of view shot. This one is probably the hardest to nail. The POV shot is really good at connecting your viewer with the environment in which you're in. Like there was a shot of me on the subway where I literally just flipped my phone around. So it's like you're the POV, like you're the phone. If you pay attention to pretty much any piece of media content, whether it's just a simple Instagram story or a YouTube video like this, you'll find those 5 essential shots somewhere in the piece of work. So we've got the physical movement of the camera down. Why don't we talk a little bit about color theory now? So I personally shoot in ProRes. Think of ProRes as like a color by number sheet. I give you this drawing that has numbers according to different colors, but it could just be like red, green, blue, yellow, oranges and stuff. But you get to decide what kind of orange you want to use, what kind of blues you want to use, what kind of yellows, what kind of purples. You get to decide what that looks like. That's going to be set for a whole different video, but personally, I use Dehancer on my phone, and it's a film emulation app where I have custom presets that I just can slap on many different styles of footage. I love Dehancer because I can just export things directly from ProRes on my phone, and then I can just immediately share on social media. But what's cool about that is I don't have to keep the ProRes if I don't want to. So all that storage that's being used in my phone, I can immediately get rid of it. Even if you're not shooting ProRes, you can still use the photographic styles that are built into the iPhone. And these are like different presets essentially that you can slap onto your footage. You have like the standard one, but then you can have like gold, vibrant, natural. There's so many different ones. Personally, I like gold just for like everyday photo taking, but like you can use these in your videos as well. And there's so many different ways that you can approach it. Just think about the kind of vibe that you want to capture. Like, let's say you're in a restaurant and there's some really cool drinks and really cool appetizers that you have. Think about maybe having something that's a little more vibrant because you want to showcase the colors in the food. If you're just walking through the streets, maybe consider having a little bit warmer of an undertone or a cooler of an undertone, depending on what the weather is that day. I don't know. Think about it that way. Let's say you're going on a trip and like you're just getting the stereotypical shot outside the plane window. You could potentially just do something that's very vibrant and blue because the sky is blue. I probably could have come up with a better explanation there, but you kind of get the point. Think about the different scenes that you're in, and there's so many different photographic presets that you could just customize it to wherever you're at. If you want to elevate the kind of content that you're producing, there is no one size fits all thing. You have to think about the situation that you're in. You have to think about what you want the viewer to feel. The thing that separates your average creator from your great creator is having intention behind your shots. And I could give you all of my presets. I could give you all my camera settings. I could give you all of my footage. I could give you all the things that I use. But you got to think about what you want the viewer to feel. So in summary, use the different styles of shots, flex those camera lenses, shoot in ProRes if you have the storage, and use the Blackmagic app if you want to start messing around like you're using a real camera. Use photographic styles because those are freaking amazing. It's just don't forget to have fun. It's not meant to be a chore. It's not meant to be something that's boring and unexciting. Like, have some fun with it. I had so much fun just using only my phone to document my trip to New York City. And I got so many different cool moments and so many different sights and sounds that now I can look back on, and I actually have the video that I can mess with and turn into an actual like movie. If you're curious to see what the iPhone could really do, I actually shot a Honda commercial in our Pro versus Beginner series. And I also shot a hatchet throwing commercial using just the iPhone. So you can kind of see what these phones are capable of, because I can tell you iPhones have really stepped it up in the past like 4 years. I don't even know what the iPhone 17 is going to have. I don't know if I'm going to be picking up an iPhone 17 just because I don't know if it's going to be a big enough jump, and the tariff situation is looking a little dicey right now for Americans. Drop a comment if you want to see different tutorials and stuff. I'd be more than happy to really go in depth with this thing. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.